We are. Hi, Vani.
Hi, Mr. Dan.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, all. I'm good. Thank you.
Great. Okay, well, I think we should get started. And could I ask one of you to be my co-host? And you can, if anybody new arrives, you can let them into the meeting. Any volunteers to click a button if you hear a sound? No? All right. All right, well, if I hear a sound, hopefully I'll let in newcomers. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. And like I said, I think I prepared a
I
little
can
bit
do
too
it.
much. Yeah, was that Dina? All right.
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay, so Dina, if you hear a ding dong, that's someone knocking at our door. Make co-host. Okay, there you are. Just don't end the meeting and we'll be all good. All right, so
Okay.
let's jump in this. I do believe I put too much into this presentation, and like I said, it's more important for me to listen to you guys, because this kind of thing I can just send out a link to, right? But so grade 5 with me. I've been at NGIS now this is the start of my 4th year. I've been here since 2017. I love it. I've got 3 kids, so 1 kid in grade 1, grade 4, and grade 8. And so I share your joy and your pain as parents with what it's like in our current situation with online learning. It's really a very intense experience I found as a parent. It just feels overwhelming at times. I feel like we don't have enough time, or I just feel like I'm chasing kids around the house every single second. But all right, we got more people joining. Wonderful. Magdalena, is that and Edwin? I think that's Valerie's dad. All right, he's joining.
So I'm just gonna add my laptop so that it's easier for me to admit everybody.
Cool.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, welcome everybody. So I am recording this and we can share it with the people who haven't come yet, but we basically just started just talking about how I've been here for 4 years, or 3 years now, onto my 4th. And as a parent of 3 kids at NGIS, I feel your pain, but I think it's wonderful together what we are able to do through this online learning. So it is our first year doing the International Baccalaureate curriculum, so IB at NGIS. But to be honest, Mr. Tom, the head of school a couple of years ago, who hired me and hired Mr. Wallace and hired Miss Essie, and even before Mr. Tom, Miss Elsa, a lot of us have already been doing what's called inquiry-based learning. We've been doing this for years. In Canada, that's part of my teaching philosophy. It's been something that I've been doing already for like 7, 8, 9, 10 years. So so basically IB is all about inquiry, all about learning how to learn. And in the lower school, which we now call the PYP, Primary Years Program, that's from preschool 2, preschool 3, and then pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, grade 1 up to grade 5. So all of that is PYP, and then above that would be MYP, Middle Years Program. And something that's common from preschool all the way up to grade 12 is that we all like to think about the learner profiles, which are basically 10 ways of being, or qualities that we hope everyone will develop in their life, right? So we've got, being balanced, and this image is not supposed to be there. I'll delete that later. Caring, taking care of each other, taking care of our world. Being a good communicator, to share ideas and to listen. Being an inquirer, talked about that, inquiry. Being curious and using our curiosity to ask more questions, to look deeper into things. It's related to critical thinking as well, and research. Knowledgeable, we know facts, right? Like, you have to know facts, but it's not just about facts, is it? It's also about being open-minded. We appreciate different ideas, different ways of being, think about diversity. Principled, we do the right thing. Every school should have that. Reflective, if a kid makes a mistake, it's okay. It's an opportunity to learn, it's an opportunity to grow. So we think about our ideas, we think about what was good, we think about how we can make it even better. So those kids that are getting, A+, 90%, how can they make it even better next time? That's important to think about. Just as important as those kids who are getting, 65%, 40%. I'm not using percentages on report cards, but You know, when I give feedback to a kid, it's really about showing them very specifically what they need to do to make it better. And it's not about making them feel happy. It's not about making them feel sad. It's about helping them see the next step. So taking the emotions out of it and getting very specific with feedback. And I teach kids how to do that for each other too, how to be kind and specific and helpful with how they talk to each other about their work. Risk taker, in other words, be brave. And we talked about being knowledgeable, knowing facts, but you have to be a thinker. You have to be able to use those facts to solve problems. So all of that together is the 10 learner profiles, part of IB, common across all grades. Also common are the 5 skill areas called the approaches to learning. In other words, the ATLs. And so each approach to learning, each category, like thinking skills, each of these have sub skills as well. And it gets very specific, you know, things like learning how to use a Venn diagram, if you know what a Venn diagram, or, you know, or learning how to ask questions, right? Learning how to consider if a website is something we can trust, right? Actually, that's more like research skills, evaluating what we look at. This also, research skills comes into, you know, cyberbullying, you know, using online learning ethically. Also communication skills, speaking, reading, listening, interpreting, looking at pictures, looking at art, listening to music. That is interpreting as well. Social skills, you know, learning how to work together, learning how to say what you need when you need help from the teacher, learning how to ask, and learning how to be nice, basically, right? Respecting each other, respecting our surroundings. The last one here is really important, self-management skills. We've focused a lot so far this last month on managing self. So taking a look at how can we see what we are done and what we're not done. How can we be more organized as students, right? So this also is not just about organization, but also about states of mind. In other words, things like being happy, right? And being balanced with your life, and taking a break, not just to play more Prodigy or play more video games, but go outside, get some fresh air. You know, religion, spirituality ties into this as well in your own family, right? Just teaching kids to be resilient and motivated to keep trying. So that's all part of self-management. And those are the 5 skill areas that that we teach explicitly. We don't just hope kids will learn this. We don't just cross our fingers and go, oh, I hope they become good communicators. Oh, I hope they become organized. But we teach them explicitly here are some strategies of how to be organized, right? Here are some strategies of how to make it more clear what you are saying when you're talking in a group or when you're writing. So we make it very explicit. It is the curriculum. It's not just something we hope. Another thing that you're going to hear about, or probably you've already heard about it, are the units of inquiry. So there's, in grade 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 6 big units, and then in the lower grades, it's like 4 units per year. Of course, we do many units, more than this, but there are 6 big units. This is what I have planned for the year. Right now, we're looking at democracy and dictatorships, and with this month being so busy, I feel like we're a little bit behind schedule. So yeah, this is subject to change depending on, you know, just with online learning, it's a challenge to get through everything. But also these ideas for units are all based on central ideas or central questions. So for example, what is it like to be a refugee, right? Like that's a question that has lots of different research areas people could explore. And so I would be helping students through that by giving examples and then leading them through until they're researching their own presentations on these. So some of this might change depending on students' strengths and their interests as well. Let's move on here. Each unit is transdisciplinary, so it's, you know, different teachers working together, but it's also me combining English and math and science and social studies. So in all grades, preschool all the way up to grade 12, we are aiming to develop students' awareness of 7 key concepts. So these are not facts. These are concepts, ideas, processes. Here they are. So we've got form. In other words, what is it like, right? So for example, well, we could pick a big topic. We could pick a simple one like tornadoes. What is a tornado like, right? Function, how does a tornado work? It spins, right? Very simple. Or we could talk about something more complex like racism. What does racism look like, right? What does police brutality look like? How does it work, right? Tornadoes, what causes tornadoes? Different temperatures, climate change, what is it, right? How is it changing? Oh, tornadoes rip apart houses. They change neighborhoods. They change where oceans push their water, right? How does racism change through time? How does racism change a person, right? How do people become racist? How do people become not racist? How? How does it change? Connections, what is it connected to? Okay, tornadoes are connected to climate change. Tornadoes are connected to tsunamis, floods, right? How is racism connected to other things? Poverty, right? Being poor. How is racism connected to other things? Education, right? Hospitals, right? We know that in some hospitals in the world, certain people will get better treatment than other people, right? How is it connected to healthcare, right? Things like that. Perspectives, what are the points of view? So, what is it like to be racist? What is it like to be the person feeling racism? What is it like to be in a tornado? What is it like to help somebody after a tornado, right? What is that like? Perspectives. And then I love how I put this last because I think it should come last, but it's something that everyone from, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, up to grade 12s, what is our responsibility? What can we do to change the world? What can we do to change ourselves? What is our responsibility? Dina talked about corruption with the construction of certain projects in Jakarta. What is our responsibility as voters? What is our responsibility as consumers, right? What can we do? We could do a little presentation. We could talk to our parents. These are different actions we could do. Responsibility can be a small thing that you do. It could be a big thing too. So those are our interdisciplinary themes related to all the different stuff we do. But for those 6 big units, I explicitly will explore and mark, in other words, assess students on their understanding of those concepts. I did say I planned maybe a little bit too much for this presentation, but here we go. So English, we got reading, writing, and speaking. You guys are already familiar with Raz Kids and grade 4s last year, now grade 5s love Epic. And I saw them last year in the library, often using Epic. And I could hear Epic reading to them. And I thought, are they just watching a video? But then I looked and I remember seeing like Natasha and Val and Lara all really, really carefully listening. And they weren't being silly, they were really listening and thinking, right? So Epic is a great resource where a lot of sort of more exciting texts, more interactive, sort of like graphic images of like, historical things and like comic books. It's really good. Raz Kids, we use that from kindergarten up to grade 5. And even my kids in grade 6 that I had last year, they still use Raz Kids at home. So it's, if you're new to the school, none of you are, but Raz Kids is our main reading program that we use. And it's wonderful now with COVID-19, everyone has access to leveled reading, right? So books that are not too hard, not too easy for your child. And I do tests with them maybe every 6 weeks. I do a test with your child to see like where they're at, and I can give them assignments and they can level up automatically. But sometimes kids get bored. Let's be honest. Sometimes kids are like, ugh, Raz Kids, ugh. And that's probably because they're at the wrong level. They're probably better than that now, and I need to retest them. So I was looking at MAP scores, and some of your kids that are, even the people who are here, some of your kids, I think last year to now, like they've improved over the summer, right? Some kids go down, some kids go up over the summer, but they're ready to be tested for the next level. They need something more challenging. And it goes from level AA, which is like kindergarten, preschool, all the way up to Z. I'm Canadian, so I say Z, and Z1 and Z2. So we have 2 kids in our class that are at Z2. We have some kids that are in like level F, level M. It's a real spread. We also use IXL to practice reading skills and mystery science and news ELA, ReadWorks. So any balanced literacy program, at least where I'm from in Canada, will include these 5 elements. So reading to self, right? So having kids read to themselves, reading to someone, and this helps them, you know, take turns and hear how another person would do it. And then word work, so playing around with vocabulary and spelling to learn more, to learn new words, improve their vocabulary. And we use IXL and Spelling City to work with kids learning new words and grammar / vocabulary. IXL is more for, when I use that for language, it's often for grammar, but also could be for writing choices. They're selecting like the best choice, but we're talking about reading. So guided reading is where the kids are on Zoom with me or in the classroom, they're at a table with me and I'm reading a book with them. We take turns, they hear how I say it, I hear how they say it. It's really good for practicing their fluency, like their speed and their expression. So changing melody and speed and pausing, like all of that, all of those parts of speech are from reading, right? We learn how to read not like robots, but how to read like the way that the text is supposed to be read. Is it supposed to be read with a very formal and professional voice? Or is it meant to be read like, if it's poetry, very like expressive, very explosive maybe? If it's a sad moment, do we change our volume, right? You know, all these things are something that we can explore when we're reading with other people. But during guided reading, that's where we get into really deep reading strategies for how do you not just decode the word. In kindergarten, they're learning how to read the letters and read the words and read the sentences. Grade 1 also a little bit. But even since kindergarten, we're learning, what does it mean? Well, what does the story mean overall? So I'm having kids read something and then write about what they read to talk about what is the message, what is the lesson. The last one is listening to reading, which they can always do on Raz Kids or Epic. They can listen, which is good for learning new words. Often kids can say the words, but they don't know what it means. So those resources let them click and find out, and even Google Translate to find out words for some of our English language learners. We're all English language learners, but some of us, English is not our first language, and that's totally normal in many countries. And some of your children might sound like native speakers, but their grammar sometimes is not like a native speaker. So, you know, it's something that takes a long time to develop, and that's okay. It takes time. I'll talk about writing. So 3 styles of writing: stories, narrative; reports, informative; and essays, so persuasive, trying to change people's opinions. Love all these units, or not units, but styles of writing. How do we do that? I mean, we do a lot of projects in the class on paper, and then we go to Google Slides. I use Seesaw a lot right now, and we're also using Writing City, which they used last year since April, but I'm using it inside Seesaw. So let's talk about the 6+1 traits of writing just for a moment. Mr. Ezra maybe introduced this a little bit last year, but he was new to our school. At our school, all grades teach with this model. So basically, these are 7 areas of writing that we should focus on for good writers. Good writers have good ideas, right? Ideas that are clear, ideas that are not too big. I mean, too general, too vague. Kurang jelas, right? We want ideas that are clear. Is it organized? Does the beginning grab the reader's attention? Are your paragraphs in the right order? Maybe we should have it like this. Voice, should it sound like an expert? Should it be funny? Should it sound like the person wrote this is your best friend? Should it make you feel you can trust them, or make you feel like you don't trust the reader, right? Like, I don't know about this narrator, right? All of that is a whole other level of writing beyond other skills like word choice. Word choice is just like using the best words, basically. You know, what we see, smell, taste, touch, hear. That's one strategy, right? Word choice. Sentence fluency, you know, back in like kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, you know, they're using very short sentences. I see a dog. the dog is red. The dog is my friend, right? Whereas a longer sentence could be, I see, or my dog is red and he is my friend. That's a longer sentence, right? In grade 5, we're going to learn, how to make extra long sentences, and how do we make short sentences feel really good? Like, when you read a paragraph and there's like a 2-word sentence and it's like, ooh, that felt good. That felt good, right? Language, any language, English, Indonesian, Mandarin, any language, we have long sentences and we have short sentences, and the short sentences do something and the long sentences do something else. So learning how to make those, and that includes, punctuation. Talking about punctuation and grammar and spelling, that's conventions. So there's going to be projects where I say, guys, you really need to capitalize everything. Guys, you really need to get your spelling correct. We're about to publish this. Parents are going to see. Then there's other projects where I will say, please, they'll ask me, Mr. Dan, how do you spell delicious? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's not important right now, because maybe for that project, we're focusing on ideas, right? So if the kid's worrying about how do you spell delicious, they stopped writing. I want them to write me like 8 sentences, but they're only on sentence number 1, right? So don't worry about spelling right now, right? But then for some projects, I will have kids focus on spelling for sure. Grammar is really important. Punctuation is really important. Spelling, I think, is important, but less urgent. It doesn't have to happen at the start of a project. It should happen at the end. It doesn't always have to happen for every project. Some projects are going to have spelling mistakes, and that's okay, because that wasn't our goal. That wasn't what was being marked. And then by the end of a unit, something big that we publish that we're really proud of, that we want to share with other students, other teachers, other families, maybe we want our spelling to be perfect, right? But maybe for some projects we don't, and that's maybe okay. So the last one here, and it's last, is things like handwriting. In kindergarten, there's a lot of attention on how do you make the shapes of the letters. That is so important. My son Arlo he cries. Last year he would cry because he didn't know how to make some letters. He would cry, right? Learning how to write those letters clearly is so important. By the time you get into grade 5, we're hoping kids can write neat enough, clear enough that I can understand and they can understand and their friends can understand. If it's messy, it's a problem, and they should continue to work on that, but it's not the main focus in grade 5. It's not, because we have too much to focus on. We do a lot of typing. We do a lot of work on computers. Even without coronavirus, I do most of my projects in Google Slides, most. Maybe 80%. I love writing when we're making posters or sitting at one table and we're coming up with ideas like a brainstorm. We want to write fast. That's important to do that. Typing in Google Slides is slow when you're trying to work all together. It can be good, it can be bad. Anyway, presentation would be things like font, color, where are your photos, editing a video, handwriting. All of that stuff's important, but it comes at the end. It comes at the end when everything else feels good, right? So handwriting is important, but it's not urgent for most of our projects. So I'm not going to have kids write on a piece of paper and then I say, okay, good, that was draft 1. Now time for draft 2. Okay, your paragraph right here, can you move it down to the bottom right here? And also this word right here, can you just change that word? Yeah, okay. And then they could use an eraser, but maybe I have to move the whole thing. If they're writing on paper, that takes a lot of time away from our focus on other things like ideas, word choice, organization. So that's why handwriting is good at the very beginning for an outline. Like if you look at my lesson plans, I start on paper, right? For a lot of things, I start on paper because it's fast for me. But then as soon as I can, I get into a Google Slide or Google Doc or whatever. And I start making stuff because I can change it. I can move things around. And that is, that is the future. And it is a skill that we need to learn. We also need to learn how to use paper, an eraser, a pen, a pencil. We need to learn that as well. I think forever people are going to need that. I think it's less important though, but it is important. I think it's less important to do everything on paper. You will see some examples of like final projects where kids have like big poster boards, and that skill of making things look very presentable on a poster is something that some kids have a really easy time with and other kids really struggle. I remember a year or two ago having kids help me make my billboard. You know, the billboard outside the classroom where we show our best work. And we literally did a lesson on presentation. Like, some kids don't know how to hang a piece of paper straight, right? They hang the paper like this when it should be like this. So like little things like that, or, you know, they put the one piece of paper here, they put the other one here. Just little things like that are important for learning how to work with paper and posters. All of that stuff is important, but it's only one aspect of the 6+1 traits. So we spend as much time on it as it is appropriate, because it's grade 5 and they got to get ready for grade 6. So I thank you for your understanding on that. Now, all of this stuff can be marked. All of this can be assessed. It's not just fluffy ideas. So we, you know, for example, for organization, there's a rubric that I love. You know, is the start of your story a strong beginning, or is it, you know, not particularly special, right? So if I mark someone for this sentence right here, right, then I give them suggestions or ideas, or we talk about it. How could we make that better, right? Could you start maybe with a sound effect? Could you start with people talking, right? Could you say your opinion more strongly, right? Tennis is the best sport. Okay, what's a better way to say that, right? You know, wiping the sweat off my forehead, I drank Gatorade and looked at my opponent and hit that racket. Tennis is the best sport, or whatever. You know, I'm just making up something that's not very good. But the next thing that kids already are working on for the last couple of years is the writing process. So this process applies to all subjects. Just, you know, going from the beginning of a project to the end, we rewrite, we change things, we revise, we move things around, we delete, we add. Then we edit. We don't fix spelling. We don't fix spelling and capitalization at the beginning. We do it later, because you might delete that sentence. Okay, so it's good for us to learn how to capitalize and have our grammar perfect. But if you spend all your time on that now, I might ask you to change something, or your friends might say, I really don't understand what you're talking about. And they're gonna delete that sentence. So that's why in my class, I make it really clear that we do not edit until we have revised. And sometimes after we edit, we'll we'll have somebody read it, and then we'll revise it again. We'll make it better again, right? So it's just that I'm encouraging kids to like be patient, that things sometimes need to be changed, and it's a good thing, right? We even look at textbooks that have mistakes, that have typos, right? We've all read books that are important that have mistakes in them, right? And we know that there are new editions, new versions of books all the time. And then finally, we publish it. We share it with other people, which is really exciting. And at the end of last year, I felt really good at the end of last year, because even though it was coronavirus season, and it still is, at the end of last year, the grade 5s, all 8 of us did a presentation. We had an assembly, and they had this like amazing, so they had a portfolio, and basically you click on the kid's face, and then it showed like 10 of their best projects from the whole year. And many of our projects we turned into YouTube videos where the kids were reading their work, and like it was like zooming into the paragraphs with music, and it was just so good. I was so proud of them. So I can share that link with you guys as well. But I know I've been talking a long time. Just about speaking and listening, we learn how to take turns. We learn how to, if we don't understand, right? Kalau kita nggak mengerti, bagaimana bisa menjelaskan, right? Harus tahu bertanya pertanyaan yang penting, yang like we have to be able to say things like, could you say that again in a different way, right? Tell me more about that, please, right? So for example, today Aris was saying he'll never forget things about school. And I was like, can you tell me more about that? What do you mean, right? Give me something more khususnya, more specific. So what I hear you saying is blah, 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 blah. Is that correct, right? Mika, so I hear you saying Zoom is disconnecting for you. Is that correct? Yes, 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 that's what's happening, right? So showing the person that I understand. Maybe I don't understand. Mungkin saya salah, saya harus menjelaskan, right? Including others. Natasha, what do you think about that? Sarah, what should we do first? Even if the person speaking, the child already wants to be the leader, right? Oh, I know what to do, having them be the facilitator, right? Having them be the leader by saying, Sarah, what should we do next? Should we do red or blue or whatever, you know? So those are skills, speaking and listening. And that's what I was talking about when I say we explicitly teach the skills of the approaches to learning. You know, all of this stuff, we explicitly teach it. We don't just hope, but we do lessons on those skills. So, all right, one more here, math. You guys know we use IXL. That's our workbook. In the past, I've used math expressions workbooks. I don't really feel that the kids learn as much. When they do IXL, they learn much more. It's faster. There's instant feedback. So if they get something wrong, they have a chance to see an example of what they did wrong. Their score goes down. They feel motivation to get it back up. And I mean, you should see the emails I get. You know, grade 5 has answered 2,000 questions. Like, you know, I get these emails all the time. It's crazy. Does anyone here remember the first week of school, how many times your kid asked to play Prodigy or said, no, I'm just playing Prodigy, Mom, right? No, it's Prodigy, it's for school, right? In that first week, it was crazy. It was like, I think one of the kids did like 300 questions in one day. It's insane, right? And so from these tools, IXL, you know, I actually can see in our class, this is from our class, this is real. I have 5 groups. So I have one student that's working up here at like a grade 7 level for some skills. And I have 2 students down here for numbers and operations, not for everything, that are working down at like a grade 2, grade 3 level, okay? Then I have other kids that are somewhere between grade 4 and grade 5, right? But that will be different. Maybe in geometry, these kids are up here. So IXL is like a workbook that is plugged into an AI, like artificial intelligence. It knows what your kid is good at. It knows what your kid is not ready for, or it knows what I should teach next. It's really good. It's really, really helpful for me. I wish I could show you more, but we don't have time, and it's confidential because you'll see other kids' scores, but it's crazy the level of detail I can get in there. I love IXL so much. I'll use it for the next 10 years, love it. Prodigy really is motivational for kids. I use Prodigy mainly as a test at the end of a unit or in the middle of a unit. And, you know, I can see, for example, for measurement and data overall, this is not for one assignment. You know, we have a lot of kids that really need to work on measurement and data, right? So kilometers, meters, area, perimeter. We have some people that really need help with that. So I'm just showing this to you because it's anything else I show you would not be private, would not be confidential. So I can't show you more, but I could show you for your own child if we meet one-on-one. Seesaw, I love Seesaw. I'm a Seesaw ambassador, so I'm on Facebook with other ambassadors. Seesaw is amazing. I use Seesaw for all subjects, including for math. And because I'm from Canada, I have access to a Google Drive library of math activities that are amazing, so good. And I shared this with Mr. Ezra last year, but he's from BC, so maybe he was a little bit, well, I'm not sure. I'm from Quebec, which is a different province. And for every problem, the kids have to analyze. There's a lot of attention put on analysis. And that's good for any problem solving skill, right? As kids grow to be older, maybe they're gonna be engineers, maybe they're gonna own a business, maybe they're gonna work for somebody. You need to know, what do I have, right? In other words, what do I know, right? What am I looking for? And what are my tools? So it is essential to think about coordinates for this activity. So the analysis is extremely important. Yes, kids can go really fast. Like Kumon is wonderful for kids to learn things to be fast. I know some of your children go to Kumon. That's wonderful. But what Kumon's not doing is having kids build analysis skills. And so that's what we're doing at NGIS. I've heard maybe from some grade 3 parents through my wife, wow, the map test was really hard at the last school. My children didn't get those types of like word problems. It was mostly just like, you know, adding or subtracting. And it was sort of a surprise for us to hear as teachers. We're like, oh, really? Interesting. So like, you know, some schools will have more or less attention to building analysis skills. At our school, it's hugely important, because it's not just important for math, it's important for any type of thinking, right? And it comes back to the approaches to learning, teaching thinking skills, right? That you can use in any situation. So this is the last page of that example here, where the kid actually has to produce something. This was difficult. This took kids about 2 or 3 days to do with some back and forth. And then I have even more complex problems. This is actually supposed to take, sorry, this was a grade 6 problem because I knew the kids might be able to handle that. But this was supposed to take a grade 6, maybe like 1 hour, maybe 30 minutes. But I have other problems, I'm not joking, that will take like 2 days, 3 days to do. It's like 8 pages of paper. And it's like, last year I had kids plan budgets for a family visiting the Olympics, including how much was the airfare, how much was the food, where was the hotel, and they had to plan all of this out. And if their numbers were wrong, they had to go back. So in other words, they have to be really clear to show step 1, step 2, step 3. This is like preparing kids to be ready for work, ready for being a business owner, data management, right? So I love, love, love these application problems. They're called application problems. So it's like a word problem, but more complex. All right, I've been talking so much. Yes, I teach science, social studies, and we also have our art and our music and PE, Bahasa Indonesia, STEM, PPKN, which is like Indonesian social studies. I've been talking so much. What time is it right now? It's 5:46. I've been talking for like a half an hour. So the only other 2 things I wanted to talk about was map test and then the PYP exhibition. Should we take a break and take some questions right now? Or anyone, if you want, you can unmute your mic. Or I can keep talking. Do you want to give me a thumbs up, keep talking, or pause? All right, I'm getting 3, 4 thumbs up. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. All right, and hold on, let me just get that back. So for map test, you guys are experts already as parents for NGIS. You already know that the map test is adaptive. So the test will go up or down or up again for difficulty, depending on your child's answers. Thank you for not helping. We know that in grade 1 or kindergarten or grade 2, sometimes parents are like feeling very nervous because this looks too hard, this looks too hard. Thank you for not helping, because when you help, we get the wrong data, right? We want accurate data, right? Because mistakes are super important. It tells us as teachers what we're doing good on and what we need to do better. So if a kid gets help from a parent and now it looks like they can do something that they cannot do, then I have the wrong information, right? So the map is amazing. Map and IXL actually go together pretty well. So for example, for math, reading, and language, the map numbers for each category for every single skill corresponds with IXL activities. So I can make a customized goal with your child for them to have a certain goal to work on something. Like, I need to learn area of triangles, even though I'm in grade 5 and that's a grade 6 skill. I'm ready for it. Mr. Dan, teach me, right? And I'll teach them. Yeah. So I don't actually like the piece of paper that NGIS prints out and sends to to parents. I don't think it's very helpful. It shows a summary of your child, but it's like just a bunch of numbers. I don't like it. Love you, NGIS, if you're watching this, but I don't really like it. I like this. This is called the student profile. And basically this bottom part here, I don't know if you get to see this, but this shows, so the red would be like, uh-oh. The yellow is like, they need some attention. The green is where they're supposed to be, and blue is, wow, advanced. 2 things I want to say about this is, number 1, sometimes over the summer, kids' score will go down. That's normal. Don't be scared or angry. Don't be angry with me. Don't be angry with your child. It's normal. It's okay. Sometimes scores will not change. And what does that mean? That means that your child is not being challenged enough. Your child is not being supported enough. So this is real. This is from our class. So you can see for math, most people are achieving high and growing, okay? But this child is having a high score in math, but they're not growing. In other words, they're doing really well, but it's the same as last time or the time before. So what I need to do is say, okay, what skills does this kid not know how to do? What are they ready for? and I need to give them challenging work. Same thing with this kid right here. So in general, if I see kids over here or over here, it's like, okay, I need to do more. If I see a kid in the red, it's like, I need to spend some time with this kid right away and start supporting them. I need to give them even more attention, right? The kids that are along the border, maybe I can give them an activity or a resource, and then I can let them work by themselves and then come back and see. The kids that are down here, I need to give that one-on-one attention very often. And I know in our grade 5 class right now, compared to my groups the last couple of years, that there is such a spread of abilities that I have some kids that are high, some kids that are where you expect them to be, and then some kids that are low. But even some of those low kids are in the middle for other skills, and some of those middle kids are below for other skills. It's a real mix for 11 kids. Last year, for example, most of my grade 5s were at like a end of grade 5, beginning of grade 6 level by like the middle of the year. And I think that's due to what parents do. I think it's common, at the risk of sounding stereotypical or racist, I think it's common in Asia to really support children with developing those skills and putting the pressure and the expectations and the love there for them. And I think that's beautiful. It's wonderful. So we're seeing, you know, very high scores in math, and then in other areas like language or reading, that's where a native speaker can really help, right? So I'm glad you picked NGIS. Yeah, this is a very mixed group in terms of abilities, and it's a real challenge with teaching 40 minutes plus 40 minutes for 5 subjects. Very challenging. So I will do my best, and we will learn this year. But with online learning, it's a challenge for every single school in the world. My sister, her kids are in Canada, and both her son and daughter are in a high school right now where kids have coronavirus, right? After the first 2 weeks of school, kids have coronavirus. Not my family, but, and so I feel so lucky. Number one, I love my job. Number two, I feel safe. I feel so lucky, so lucky. Okay, the last thing I'll talk about, and then I'll be quiet, is remember when I talked about the units of inquiry, how there's 6 units? Hold on a second, I lost my presentation button. What do I do here? Click this and then click this. What's going on? Hello? I have to refresh, I think. So there's 6 big units that I'm supposed to teach. There's actually a 7th one that we have to do for the whole year. And it's a real challenge to fit all of it in, but we're gonna do it. So last year, does anyone here know, give me a thumbs up if you've heard of a school, Sekolah Tunas Muda. Sekolah Tunas Muda. We went there last year for a field trip to see their PYP exhibition, so PYPX. And basically it's a big presentation at the end of the year that represents research that students have done for the entire year. And these are on skills related to mostly social studies, but also science. I'm just trying to refresh my presentation here that crashed. So I'm just gonna close it for a second and open up something else. Everyone here knows the United Nations, UN. Well, the United Nations has 17 goals that they feel experts feel are very important for us to solve or reach before 2030. I think my internet, you guys can still see me and hear me, right? Okay. All right, so this is the PYP exhibition. Here's some other schools right there. I don't know if I zoomed in on that, but here's a video showing the goals. So, these are goals that are important for everyone on Earth, for us to achieve before 2030, only 10 years from now. And it's a big task. So basically, these big ideas, some of your kids will be really interested in a certain topic, maybe something like, gender equality, or making sure no one is ever hungry ever again, right? Or maybe something related to garbage, right? So looking at how we use products and how we throw away products. So this is like a passion project that students will be researching either in a small group, or actually I think I'll make it in a small group, not by themselves. And here's an example right here from Real School. I think I just need to present again. Okay, that's what I have to do.
Hello everyone and welcome to our PYP exhibition. Under our transdisciplinary theme of sharing the planet, me and my classmates of WASP have chosen some global and local issues that affect our planet. Me and my group members have chosen to work with the issue of bullying. There are 7 different types of bullying. There is racist bullying, religious bullying, physical bullying, verbal bullying, cyberbullying, social bullying, and relational aggression bullying.
So this topic was picked by them, and the teacher basically was the facilitator to guide them through finding questions to ask and finding answers based from good research.
As the disciplinary theme of sharing the planet, we have chosen to work on the topic racism. We started off by finding our key concepts, lines of inquiry, and central idea. Our central idea is people's differences affect the way humans interact with each other. Our lines of inquiry are the causes and effects of discrimination and impact discrimination has on people. Our key concepts are causation, perspective, and reflection. Here we have a world map for leaders who fought against racism, Albanian racism, and why do people discriminate. Here we have our binders, and we also have our Weebly in front.
Hello everyone, I am Sarah, and under the transdisciplinary theme of sharing the planet, we have researched about local and global issues that affect our world. And one of the topics is terrorism and drugs, and that's the topic I'm working on. To show our research, we have created posters, brochures, and a web page. So first we made this poster, and it talks about 3 of our lines of inquiry. We also made this poster about terrorist groups operating in the world, and there's 3 terrorist groups we researched on: Taliban, ISIS, and Al-Qaeda. We also have this poster that says "Say no to terrorism and drugs." We also have made these QR codes, and also go scan it and join our webpage. We also have made brochures and some pictures. Hello, our topic is animal abuse and endangered species, and we have been researching on the different facts about it. Here we have a poster about deer in Albania, a poster about tiger around the world, and about the lynx around the world. We researched some facts on why they are endangered. Here we made the cage so people can see how animals feel when they're kept in small cages.
So I was going to back up there. So you can see right here a connection between endangered animals and the fashion industry, right? Which that's a connection. And then the other word I can think about is responsibility, right? What responsibility do we have as consumers, for example? So that's an example of how those key concepts could be explored in this project.
Here we made the cage so people can see how animals feel when they're kept in small cages.
Hello, my name is Kevin. I am part of the pollution group in our PYP exhibition. This polluted city kind of is a model of what we see in Tirana today, because in Tirana there are a lot of consummation, there's a lot of noise pollution, there's a lot of cars, traveling, and transportation. We've also made a green city project which runs totally on renewable energy sources such as solar power, wind power, and water power. This turbine, from the rotation of the speed, it generates electricity for the rest of the city. This was all our projects that we've made throughout the year and all our hard work. I hope that you enjoyed it, and thank you.
Lovely. All right. So that was basically it in terms of the content that I wanted to cover. And I just want to, I guess, open it up for questions. I hope my internet's still okay. It looks like my face is frozen on my screen. But yeah, it's 6 o'clock. I'm happy to talk for another like half hour or something if you want. If you'd like to leave now, that's your choice. That's okay. Thank you so much for coming. But if you have questions, this is a good time for others to hear those questions. You might be inspired by someone's question. So yeah, I don't want to force anybody. One thing that we're taught as teachers is to give a lot of time for people to give an answer. So sometimes it's like a long, awkward pause after I ask a question from students, and that's okay. With adults, it's a little weird.
I do have a question.
All right, Dina.
It's actually a statement. You're doing a good job.
Thank
Keep
you.
on going.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I think you covered all bases. We trust you.
Thanks. That means a lot to me. I know that you guys are trying your best too.
Yeah. So we leave them in your hands in terms of helping them to be able not just survive, but to also thrive in the future, especially during these times. You know, I think it is actually a very good experience for our kids. No offense, I see I have a lot of millennials staff who is scrambling right now because they've never experienced hardship. Whereas I think a lot of us in our generation, we've experienced the economy crisis, we've experienced the September 11, and and now our kids are going to be more prepared, I think, in the future to overcome hardships like this. So we trust you. I think what you are presenting, it's exactly, I can't speak for everyone, but it's exactly what I wanted for my kids. I'm not chasing grades. I'm not chasing my kids to be able to do grade 9 math or but I just want her survive wherever it is. You survive because you need to survive first, then you can thrive. And I think being able to analyze things, being able to connect, not just in terms of communication skills, in terms of being able to find out about facts and then using them as a supporting argument, to being brave enough to support what you think is right.
That's scary. It's scary to use facts, right? It can be scary. You have to be brave. Yeah.
I mean, you want to stand up for racism. You see some, it's not racism. It's not just you not being racist, but it's also helping someone when, helping someone if they're in that situation. But I do have 2 questions.
Sure.
Actually, it has nothing to do with my kids. It does have something to do with my kids, but I was just wondering, my Michaela's RAS kit is really, really slow when it's downloading, and I don't think it's the internet. So I was wondering if everyone else is having that problem. Is it
all the time?
I'm taking a tally, guys. I'm ready to. So for 2 of you, it's slow, right?
Yeah, sometimes. As long as there's the timing. Sometimes it's very fast. Sometimes it's so slow.
Like terrible, like 10 minutes kind of thing, right? Yeah.
No, it could go
at least
for like
1-2
hours.
hours. Yeah.
Yes, Oh, thank
Yeah.
God. I thought it was just me.
No, I've seen that with my grade 5s last year, and I could see their frustration. I would just say, okay, just pick something in Epic then. Because I love Raz Kids when it works. When it works, it's good. But I used to ask kids to record their voice in Raz Kids. Remember, there's the microphone button.
Yeah,
I don't ask kids that anymore because I know sometimes it just doesn't work. So that's very frustrating. Just encourage your child to communicate to me if it's not loading, and just close Raz Kids and open it again. That's one thing. The other thing that sometimes has worked is turning off Wi-Fi and turning Wi-Fi back on. The third thing is restarting the device. The other thing is turn off. No. Forget network. You know what I mean? On the Wi-Fi settings, forget network. Forget this network.
And
then
put it
enter the
again.
password again, because it has to do with something with a DNS or something that changes. And maybe Raz Kids is like, ooh, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So for at least 2 of you, Raz Kids can be really slow. Okay.
Is it slow for you or it's not?
For me?
Yeah.
When I'm on a computer, it's not slow, but I've seen it be really slow on iPads before. I've seen it be fast on iPads and then the next day be really slow. And I don't know why. I know that the website is an American website, so I wonder if it's hosted in America, but still.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Maybe I'm gonna try a VPN.
Oh. Maybe.
Because I'll change it to like LA or something, you know, VPN.
Right. Try to trick it. Yeah.
I see Indonesia. I was like, oh, why are they transferring to Indonesia?
Oh,
No,
actually, speaking of that, if anyone here likes their kid using Epic, I believe Epic doesn't work at nighttime for some students. So the way around that is change the
time
clock.
zone.
Change the time zone.
The kids figured that out already.
Yeah. But we're lucky that we have those resources. Like we do, Epic is free. We pay for Raz Kids, and like it's not cheap for us. And I guess we've been using it for so many years. It's the kind of thing where it's like, well, we've already invested this time. We should stick with it. But thank you for this feedback, because I say the same thing every year in our staff meetings. I say, I don't know, guys, Raz Kids is pretty slow. I love it, but it's slow because there are other programs. So I'll just write this down, that several of you. Can we just take a thumbs up? Raz Kids is slow. All right, 4, 3 thumbs up. Okay, thank you. That's good. And guys, if there are any concerns, like I can take it. But if you have something that you feel would be more appropriate to challenge me on or ask me privately, I'm open to that. You know, I'm open to hearing your needs, and you are the customer. You know, so.
So I have another question.
Sure.
I was wondering, in this time, I mean, it's good what you are trying to surround the kids with, you know, even though they're stuck at home.
Yeah.
But I was wondering if you are going to do something about the topic COVID-19. Not just because I think we are in this situation, and it's like you said, it's an opportunity to learn, and to not just learn, but to even observe on what's going on with this, since everything is not like in a situation, it's not just affecting, it's not just the virus itself, it's not just a health crisis.
Yeah.
But I think, you know,
it's affecting so many areas of our community across the whole world. So absolutely. Thank you for that reminder, because I can tie it in easily to our current unit on democracy versus dictatorship. So, you know, for example, just looking at what services governments provide. Last year, we compared how Canada, Korea, Singapore, and Indonesia, and America provided money or no money for people who are working from home or told to be in quarantine, right? So you look at that those are different styles of government right there, right? So like Canada, for example, more socialist maybe, but it's a democratic socialist. And then America would be more capitalist, right? So we look at those differences. look at Indonesia, right, where people are told to stay home, but then you have people who cannot. They cannot stay at home, or else they would starve. They don't have any way. So what do? Let them die, and then everyone gets infected, right? So it's like looking at the responsibility factor of healthcare is something that is coming in this unit. But I'll make sure to like definitely connect it to COVID, because it's
because it would be, you know, it would be very interesting. Even when you say that, it would be very interesting to put the kids in like pretend government and have them like say in both, like, you know, on both sides, on trying to debate. One side wants to debate that no, they should go back to work, you know, this is a herd immunity, they have to have it. Look at Sweden, whatever, they have to do their research. And then the other side would say, what are you talking about? You know, you're risking this health, you know, and you don't know what's going to be the long term. It would be interesting.
And looking at the value of debate and facts, right? Versus like, you know, top-down decisions like from a dictator or executive orders from president and stuff, right?
And then you can actually, this is what your government is going through right now. You know, they cannot decide because everyone has their point, you know, and everyone is right.
And like there's the business leaders have their voice, you know, and the religious leaders have their voice, etc. But so
that way they understand what's the situation that we're going through right now. That would help me actually.
Okay, no, that's great. That's a good suggestion. It's something that I was hoping to, you know, it's kind of funny. Sometimes I feel like, oh, I already talked about that last year, but those were different kids, right? You know what I mean? But it's hard, you know, that the unit that I'm teaching right now, I feel like it's going so slow. Like it's so slow, like this democracy and dictatorship unit. But it's just like, with map tests and everything, I'm like, okay, now I can like pick up the speed a little bit. But there's like things I want to talk about, and then there's like the stuff that like we just don't have time sometimes, you know. But that's definitely one that we will make time for sure. Yeah.
Tell them that they have to make a decision, that they're the government, the people are waiting.
Yeah, it's urgent, you know. Like on September 11th, George W. Bush just sat there for like 10 minutes, right? Just thinking, right? You have to be able to think and get up on your feet and communicate and delegate, right? All that stuff. So it's
better to do something, even if it's the wrong thing. At least you can try again doing the other thing than just staying still and not doing anything, being stagnant.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Are there any other? Thank you for that question. That's great for those, both of those.
That'll be all.
Okay. Anyone else have any question, or would you like to stay behind and chat individually? Anybody? No. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for coming. It means a lot to me just to have you here and just to see your faces smiling and nodding. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Sometimes I freak kids out a little bit at the end of the year when I say like, I don't just like you, I love you. And it's kind of, it's weird, you know, as a teacher, it's kind of like I become almost a little bit like their uncle a little bit. Like I'm with them more than I am with my own children on a normal day, you know. I'm looking forward to getting to know your kids more. And I can already feel something in my heart growing for each of your kids. So thank you for what you do as parents, and I'll take good care of them, and we're a team. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dan.
Thank you,
Take care
Mr.
now.
Dan.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Sama-sama. Bye.